Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slice and Dice Ecom. I'm Josh, the founder of ClickSlice, and once again, we are joined by
Mara, social media executive at ClickSlice.
And in this episode, we have a really interesting topic, which is all about the evolution, the history of the social media algorithms. These change more than the weather in the UK. It is actually insane, and a lot of brands are struggling to get their content seen. So this episode, we're going to demystify the whole process, exactly how you can produce better content that actually gets seen and generates the correct ROI for your brand. So let's start with the basics, right? Like, how have these algorithms actually evolved over time?
So if you remember, early social media platforms used to display content in reverse chronological order.
Yes.
So everyone would have a fair chance to get out there and present their content. Everything was equal for everybody. Well, that's not the case anymore. Even if you're not a brand posting out there, if you put your personal content out there, you would see that there's a big difference when it comes to the reach. So now algorithms work based on engagement and based on how users are interacting with your content. Social media platforms display your content based on relevance. You need to be very clear when it comes to your content, and you need to specify what your content is about. You can do that by using captions, text in your videos, catchy hooks, use hashtags. That's also still a thing, and it's very important in order to be clear what your content is about. So the algorithm will present that content to an audience that is actually interested in what you're saying. A very important thing that you need to keep in mind nowadays is that you have to shift to video formats.
I know a lot of people watching, no, video, no. I want to hide behind my screen and just put content out.
I love taking pictures, and I always have, but in order to get out there nowadays, you need to switch to video. It started with TikTok, but now all the platforms are doing it. We have Instagram Reels, we have YouTube Shorts. So wherever you're posting, you need to have video format. And this algorithm is constantly changing. There's frequent updates that are happening all the time. So you need to test as much as possible in order to know what's working and to take into account what the insights are saying in order to tailor a content that really speaks to your audience and gets seen, because that's what we're talking about. We need to get seen in order for people to buy our products.
Yeah, the video content is big. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm probably a bit lucky that I don't mind being on camera. I mean, maybe I'm just
lucky you.
I'm a paid actor, right? Underpaid paid actor. But essentially, I think what I'll say is that as well is with a lot of these AI tools coming out and ChatGPT, Claude.ai, and a lot of people are producing written content, and they're doing it at a larger scale than they used to do a couple of years ago now. So if you are solely relying on written content, it's actually a lot harder, even if there was no video content, just because everyone is producing written content at mass with these AI tools. So video content is obviously a lot harder to replicate. It builds that deeper connection, I should say. It's more personal.
Yeah.
So again, it's just a more future-proof way to take your brand going forward. And we've actually had a few clients that were heavy on, I wouldn't say too much content. They had images, a bit of words, and they were doing that for years and years and years. And when we told them to start producing this content in this format, the revenue speaks for itself. So I think, definitely don't be shy, get in front of the camera. Doesn't matter how you look. It's just about being authentic and building that brand, 100%. Yep. So we know how important certain elements are with getting your content seen. Like you said, hashtags, right? But what would you say for a brand watching, say, I don't have time to do all these 100 things to get my content seen. What is the most impactful things I should focus on to drastically increase visibility of my content right now?
So as I've said, a big part of it is switching to video format. Apps will appreciate you doing that and will recommend your posts to more people. Once you do that, you can test it out and you'll see a difference. Another thing is, in order to have a strong social media campaign, you need to be consistent with it. You can't just put a video out there and expect it to do magic.
No magic tricks.
It doesn't happen like that. You need to be consistent with your posting. And once you have that schedule, the apps will recommend your content to people because they know you provide value to that social media platform by posting constantly. So you'll get seen more and more. And another thing apps tend to do nowadays is to recommend posts with high engagement rates. But in order to have a high engagement rate, you need to interact with your audience. 100%. You need to respond to their comments, and you need to be active on those social media platforms. Don't let the users do all the work. be like Ryanair is on social media.
Funny, right?
They're
Really
the
funny.
funniest,
Yeah.
and they also interact
They
with
troll everyone,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, and they also always interact with user generated content, and that's a big part of it. That's how they get seen so much. So do that, interact in order to get a higher engagement rate, and apps will reward you for that with a larger audience.
Also, I think that's some really good advice. Really good
Yeah.
advice.
Thank you.
So, as we said, right, the algorithms are changing constantly, more than the British weather.
Yeah.
And that's obviously had an impact on reach for organic content, right? Like you said, back in the day, if you posted at 9 a.m., you open Instagram at 9 a.m., your post is at the top, right? But now it doesn't work like that. But that's just one aspect to it, right? So how else have these algorithms impacted the reach on organic content?
So nowadays, organic reach has significantly declined. Platform prioritize paid ads over organic content. So, as I've mentioned in a previous episode, you need a hybrid approach and you need to use both in order to be seen. Another thing that brands need to remember is that when you go on a social media app, it's not just brands. You are competing with influencers, content creators, artists. So how do you get your content seen when there's so many options out there? And one way to do that is, as I've said before, to engage constantly. Without consistent engagement, even your loyal followers and loyal customers won't see your posts.
Turn cold, yeah.
Yes. So it's really, really important to do that in order to be seen on social media nowadays. So definitely keep that in mind. I can't stress that enough. You can't just put content out there. You need to interact with your audience and you need to engage with the people.
Cool. That's great. Are there anything else brands can do to
Yep.
adapt to these constant algorithm changes, which seem to be every single day?
Actually, yeah. You need to leverage your data. You need to constantly analyze how your content is performing and adapt your strategy based on how your content is performing. So you always need to test and you always need to listen to what the audience is saying and how your videos and your content is performing out there. So definitely leverage data and use all the tools that are available nowadays in order to get all the information you need to have a strong social media campaign.
The powers in the data.
Yeah.
And test.
Always test.
So would you say it's a fair assumption that brands kind of really need to invest in paid social if their organic reach is declining?
I've mentioned that before, but it's best to have a hybrid approach and definitely use paid ads in order to gain followers, in order to make your product seen by the audience, and then use organic content to keep that audience engaged and to maintain your following, because people might follow you because they've seen a paid ad, but they won't stay unless you give some value and you tell a story and you have something to offer on social media. So using both is definitely important when you tailor your social media campaign. Ads are also very helpful when it comes to boosting content that you already know performs well and you want it to be seen by as many people as possible. You can use ads in order to do that. So yeah, I would recommend using both in order to get yourself seen, and again, take advantage of all the data you can get in order to tailor a social media campaign that works for your brand, and test as much as possible and see what performs best and adapt it.
If you check the captions for like this video, it would just be like test.
Yes.
Test.
Yes,
I
it's
love it.
really
it's so important. No,
it's really important.
That just goes to show, right? So do you have kind of any tips for brands on like how they can get the content seen on different platforms such as TikTok's For You page or Instagram Reels?
Right. So it depends what platform we're talking about. People go on different platforms for different reasons. On TikTok, for instance, everybody wants to go viral. Everybody's trying to generate viral content. You need to talk to a younger audience that, has a shorter attention span. So you need to be very quick with your information. Instagram Reels, pretty much the same thing nowadays. Instagram Reels have been created to compete with TikTok, and you need to tailor your content specifically for these platforms. Whereas on LinkedIn, for example, you can connect with other professionals in your field, share stories, get tips, and make use of every single person that is out there on LinkedIn that could help you scale. On Facebook, on the other hand, groups are still a big thing.
Massive.
Yes,
Massive.
people are very engaged there. There are niche communities thriving on Facebook. So you have to take that into account. And yes, tailor specific content for each platform and keep in mind what people want to see. So yes.
Really good. I was actually shocked at the Facebook group thing, see how thriving they were. I was always under the assumption Facebook's dead, like the group stuff. No one really uses groups anymore. Because obviously, yes, Facebook, Meta, they own Instagram. So you run ads on Meta to be seen on Instagram, really. That's what most brands do. But yeah, I said to you earlier, I acquired a brand recently. And they have, I won't say what niche it's in. It's in the hobby and crafts niche. But yeah, there's like 2,000 members in this group, which are all customers, all paid, and they're all engaging with each other. Like, it's a real community.
Yeah.
Which is one of the big selling points for me when I bought the brand. So even if you own a brand and you're trying to get acquired, having that is going to increase the multiple you can charge when it comes to selling that. So yeah, a lot of long-term thought as well.
Yeah.
Also, great. That was really, really cool. I like that one. Algorithms change all the time. I think the advice we've given you in this podcast, or say we, predominantly Mara, that's her expertise, will help you stay above the fold and always get your content seen and just help grow your brand at a faster pace in comparison to your competitors. So I really hope you enjoyed that.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.